So before this video starts, this won't be an emotional video about the game. What it will be is a final farewell to a game that deserved to thrive and the devs like Mark Rubin to have a thriving career, but was unfortunately cut short. If for some reason you don't know why, it's because of Ubisoft's ever-growing incompetence. So in today's video, I'll be going over the good, the bad, and the outright ugly in XDefiant. For XDefiant not having any skill-based matchmaking, it gave a lot of players a much-needed wake-up call. No skill-based matchmaking gives players a reason to try and get better, not gaslighting dead player into thinking they were as good as Scump. But here's the thing, they're not. In fact, they are nowhere near as good as Scump. The maps were one of XDefiant's selling points. They had the classic 3-lane map design with some maps like Attica Heights being vertical as well and giving players good flanking routes or traversing around the map in general. Some of XDefiant's maps are some of my favorite maps that I've ever played in any first-person shooter game. Specifically talking about 6v6. And the map I just mentioned, I'd rather play that than the best designed map in Black Ops 6. Whoever designed the maps in XDefiant need to teach these new-gen Call of Duty devs on how to make a proper map. Please. A lot of the devs were very passionate in what they were making, and you can tell by just playing the game. You could feel it in the maps with how they designed the maps. You could feel it in how the guns handled and fired. They also didn't use any AI. Well, I mean, if they were using AI, they probably would have made better skins, but more on that later. The fact that they didn't use any AI in any of the skins, maps, and any of the player customization options just proves how much more talented these developers were than any Call of Duty developer out there. Like, it's actually crazy. The developers just cared, and that's what sold me in the first place. So earlier I said that the weapons felt good to shoot and had great handling, except the LMGs. All of the guns felt great to use, but obviously other guns felt a little better than others. I'm looking at you, ACR and MP7. Overtuned assholes. No, but seriously though, some of the weapons were the best feeling weapons I have used. Obviously, they didn't feel better than Call of Duty guns like assault rifles or SMGs in COD, but they still felt pretty good. Well, modern day COD. The guns in XDefiant felt as good as the guns in the original Modern Warfare 2 felt, and probably even better than that. This one is going to be a short topic, and that's mainly because it is just simple game design. Red dots on the minimap? Check. Actual good maps? Also check. Dead silence has a perk? No, it wasn't needed in the game. Dead silence wasn't needed in the game because the footsteps weren't as loud as it is in current day Call of Duty. I know I keep making comparisons between XDefiant and modern day COD, but that is just a better comparison. Like, yeah, you can still hear footsteps, but they weren't elephant loud like other games are. Although there was a bug with the footstep audio just being non-existent, as if the game had built-in dead silence during Season 2. As toxic as some players can be, there are just as many not toxic players. Me personally, I have met a handful of people through XDefiant, and they are some of the best people I know and still game with to this day. The XDefiant community was one of the strongest communities in all of gaming. The team over at XDefiant made the perfect blend of movement between Call of Duty's fast-paced Adderall movement and Battlefield's more realistic movement. It felt good, but not over the top. It was just right. The bunny hopping and crouch spamming was a little ridiculous at launch though. Other than that, movement was solid. While they aren't important from a gameplay perspective, they were important from a financial standpoint to help fund the game's development. Well, that's if the skins actually looked good anyway. The weapon and character skins were just color reskins with some exceptions here and there. Sure, they weren't completely awful, but they also weren't worth the price they were asking for. While not good or bad, they were painfully average. I don't hate the concept of battle passes. I like that they exist to help support the developers. Battle passes in XDefiant, however, were unfortunately nothing special. And with that, no one was enticed to buy into them. Unless that specific player loved the game and wanted to support it as best as they could. I bought all of the battle passes myself to give the developers some support and extra money, but I wish it did more than what it did. Now, before I start talking about this, I want to say that I don't mean the loyal players who wanted to see this game thrive. I'm talking about the players who wanted it to be more like COD and kept trying to push the game to be like Call of Duty instead of letting XDefiant be its own game. I'm also talking about the people who abused the infinite bunny hopping and crouch spamming. They deserve that shit to be nerfed into the ground. Call it a skill issue, I don't give a fuck. Y'all abuse that shit like my dad abused me growing up. Jumping over and over and over again and crouching over again isn't a fucking skill. Aiming and hitting shots is skill. If you miss all of your fucking shots while doing that, that's on you. Getting over 10 million players at launch is great for a brand new IP. But the launch window of a new game is an important time to make a great first impression on players. But unfortunately, the first day was barely playable, and some of us, me included, was only able to play for one match, then couldn't matchmake for the rest of the day. So when players got tired of waiting on launch day, they just went to other games until the matchmaking was resolved. But unfortunately, first impression got ruined for most players. I'm gonna keep this brief, but the slow rollout of new content with barely anything to do besides level up in irrelevant account level and level weapons up for a camo, there was just not a lot to do. One map every month sounded great, but then we played that new map for a couple weeks, then it gets stale. And that was if the map was a banger like Rockefeller was. The weapons that we got with the new season launch were the only weapons we would get at all until the new season came out. The netcode at launch was horrible, but it was mainly because of the fact that it was built on a different kind of engine than they were used to. That specific engine, if you didn't know, it wasn't made for first-person shooters. It was mainly used for games like The Division 2, games like that. And because of that, I was able to see past that, but holy shit was it ever bad. But with the launch of Season 2, the hit detection did get worse, but also did get a little better at the same time. Kill trading might have seemed like a downgrade, but to me, kill trading is better than hitting blank shots. Still would have loved to see changes for the netcode sooner than what they did, but unfortunately there's nothing we can do about that now. This game deserved so much better. The support during the preseason and Season 1 was really good, mainly with the team's consistent communication, not the content. That was already on a consistent, albeit very slow rollout, but sometime during Season 2, to the best of my memory anyway, the communication really slowed down. Granted, it wasn't a severe slowdown, but this was during the time of Tom Henderson's hit piece article targeting XDefiant, during the time where players were already worried about a game they love. But more on Tom's article later. Let's be real, he saw this one coming. Ubisoft is one of the companies of all time, and I wish I could say best in that statement. Ubisoft canned XDefiant not even 8 months after its original release, yet they give Skull and Bones a second year of support. I genuinely feel bad for the developers that work under Ubisoft, because it has to be extremely stressful to be a developer under Ubisoft, because your job could just get fucked at any moment, and that is exactly what happened to the team over at XDefiant. Fuck you. Genuinely fuck you. The marketing for XDefiant was basically non-existent. It was basically heard about through word of mouth, and it still got 11 million players in the first week of the game being out. So I'll give it that. But it would also have been more if there were some trailers to hype up current fans and hype up future fans. As we all know, that wasn't the case because Mark Rubin himself said the team wanted to polish the game up before marketing it, which makes sense because you wouldn't want to market a broken game. And unfortunately, neither of those things happened. At the end of the day, it all came down to Ubisoft and the higher-ups, and they fumbled. Hard. And finally, what some would consider the beginning of the end. But before some dumbass says that he was right, shut the fuck up. He wasn't. He said after Season 4. It was quite obviously a hit piece. All the article did was fearmonger. I will admit that I also did believe the article at first, but came to my senses about a week or two later. Tom is someone who hated XDefiant but loved Call of Duty. However, Modern Warfare 3 2023 was a good Call of Duty game, but was held back because of manipulative practices Activision used behind the scenes. So I'll give him that, but not really, cause fuck him. You see, it's all about that Activision dick sucking money. Before I end the video, I want to very briefly list my regrets that I have with XDefiant. I wish I played the game more than what I did. Put it into context, I have 7 days, 23 hours, and 45 minutes of playtime on Xbox, so that's like 191 hours under my belt, as well as every single achievement earned after 11 days of playing. The other regret I have is only making 2 videos on the game. Let's be real here. Only these 2 videos is pathetic. I wanted to make more videos but lost motivation after the Season 2 review video. But with that being said, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, a like is always appreciated. But if you didn't enjoy the video, leave a dislike. I'm also up to having a civil conversation about the negatives and positives with XDefiant, whether or not I agree with your opinion or you don't agree with mine. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. And also, Mark Rubin, thank you for showing us how passionate a dev team in AAA gaming can be. I will always respect you and your team for pushing through hell, basically, to give us the best possible game you guys could have. And I really did love it for what it was. Enjoy your retirement. Goodbye for now.